I don't want this. Hey, welcome to Radical Books and Activists. We're streaming from Chicago. We got my hermano Misael, who's in Las Vegas, and you're hearing the beautiful music of Adam Gottlieb and Libera Radicalmente. So we're waiting for Tongo Eisen-Martin, but I kind of asked him to come on last minute, so hopefully he'll see the link and pop on. But today we're going to talk about critical race theory and unions. Got a lot to say about that, or just race and unions, but I think critical race theory, of course, plays into that. So we'll see if our brother Tongo Eisen-Martin pops in. So Misa, you want to introduce yourself? I didn't do this last time. I was a negligent host. But
hello, everybody. My name is Misael Juarez. I live here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm coming out with a book called My Spoken Word Wife, published by Body of Blues Press, which is owned by Jesus Estrada, yours truly, and she is doing the finalization on all these things. I'm very happy to be here and have a platform to express my ideas and engage the world and the audience with ideas. And welcome to Radical Books and Activists.
Thank you. The other day I used to call it Radical Books and Politics. But it's not, I don't know, I think activist is more true and really more what the show The Spirit is supposed to be about. And I guess after a time, you figure out the voice of your YouTube stream and whatnot. But we're still going to talk about critical race. But before we do that, happy International Labor Day. It is a day where countries across the world uplift workers. And so I wanted to show you my May Day speech because I was so honored to be, today I got to speak at Union Park, and so I accidentally dropped an F-bomb, and then it was over. I couldn't stop dropping the bomb. The bombs were going off, in a good way, not a bad way, like in Ukraine. We were, potty mouth Jesus came back, but it was empowering to be able to speak my mind. So let me see. And I talked about racism in Chicago, which of course is systemic. So this is my short speech. You have to forgive the video footage. My husband recorded this for me because the stream wonked out for a little bit on my phone. So this is always a work in progress. But here we go. Let me make this big so you can see. That's my son, who's my little comrade. He's my little right-hand man. And it was a thing of beauty, but hopefully y'all can hear this. It is this. We know we are essential to ourselves, to our communities, to our families, and to other workers. But to the capitalists, we're expendable. Your kids are expendable. Workers are expendable. And the undocumented refugees don't even count in this economic system. For example, in the state colleges of Chicago, where I'm a union steward, part-time workers and full-time workers are under attack. They test weekly for COVID and also into the private company. And because the system is so broken and they don't report tests accurately, my employees are being punished. They're being suspended without pay for weeks. Then they go to a pre-disciplinary hearing and they're suspended again. Imagine not having a check in Chicago for over a month. This behavior is fucking criminal, and it infuriates me to the core. Plus, instead of hiring private companies, why don't they hire our healthcare students? Why don't they hire community members? Why don't they give work studies jobs so they can trace who tests or not? This is bullshit. Now, I have two CPS kids. This is my son, Antonio, my daughter, who didn't want to come on stage, Simona. And let me tell you what's happening in CPS. It is criminal. They're cutting hundreds of thousands of dollars from the poorest black and brown schools. Think about that. They're already hurting from COVID. And this is patent bullshit because they had over $4 billion of COVID funds. They're getting almost $2 billion in federal funds. Why are our black and brown kids spending priority? Why don't they have counselors? Why don't they have books? It's terrible. Thank you. Why don't they have cleaning supplies? Thank you, sister. Now, I'm a first generation Chicana. Whoa, little comrade. What? I'm done? All right. Look, we can only win this together if we fight together. Let's make a difference. Hey, And I gotta thank you, Misael, because you oh, Tango's on. I was just showing them my Mayday speech, brother. And Misael, I was up at 5:30 with all this nervous energy because I only had 2 minutes to speak. And you know what? He gave me feedback, he gave me motivation, and so I was able to do it, even though it's raining outside and my head hurts a lot. So Facebook user, yes, Unity 2 is still in progress. If you missed all the messages, I'm editing books this summer. Thank you for uplifting that volume. Misa knows I'm almost done editing my spoken word wife. Just got like 2 little mistakes I gotta improve. Then I'm gonna edit Nammer with a twist and then Unity volume 2. So okay. Oh my gosh, what an honor and privilege, Tango. I am so glad you made it. Hey Tango, meet my co-host Misael Juarez.
Hey,
Misael,
what's up, Tongo?
Hey,
yeah,
well,
Misael Juarez is the first poet that Body Blues Press is putting out a book for,
all
and
right.
just called my spoken word wife. So I thought it was appropriate to play that video because it is International Labor Day, and unions are playing an important role in terms of elevating. What's that background noise, bros? Is that you, Misael?
It could be. I will turn my mic off. It's just
Then
the air fan.
let's experiment. Hello? Nah, that's weird. Ah, it's Tango. That's okay. We love you. You can have background noise, any background noise you want, brother. It's fine by me. So what's happening in unions? I mean, well, there's a history of racism in the unions for sure, especially in recent years against undocumented people, where unions didn't want to allow them into the union, even though they were a core part of the workforce. But we've also seen this phenomenal victory with the Amazon workers in Long Island and potentially right across the street almost from them, where Chris Smalls 15 mostly women of color organized Amazon and were able to have a contract. Now that union is unique because it is not under the umbrella of the AFL-CIO, but we celebrate the Amazon workers. And for sure there was racism because I forgot the name of the dude that owns Amazon, Jeff Bezos. Yeah, Jeff Bezos. They published a memo where Jeff Bezos was saying that Chris Moss, who's an African American, he looks street, but he's a cool dude. He's very smart. He was saying that he was inarticulate and unintelligent, and I was like, dude, that's some racist shit right there, right? But so we're here to talk about critical race theory also because Tongo has put together this amazing free, which I linked to the description of the show, a free packet of a pedagogy, right, or teaching tools for people to use. So, Tango, why don't you introduce yourselves for people who don't know you and maybe talk about, well, I've said a lot, but go ahead, brother.
But hey, it's good to be with you all. Um, basically just well, the curriculum itself, we charge genocide again. What is a curriculum to that goes with. I'm at my facility of language is a little off, but it goes with a study actually that my mother wrote on extrajudicial killing of Black people that found that once every 28 hours a Black person is killed by police or their surrogates. The number is probably it is probably one every 10 hours, but to be kind of the academically responsible, she didn't count any cases where the race wasn't explicitly given. But if you look at the location of where it happened, you can assume that they were not white. So the curriculum that accompanies, which is not a word I should have been straining to get my hands on. It basically it is to give the ideological context, the bigger picture of what extrajudicial killing flows from a settler colonial project that that cannot exist without white supremacy. So we just, it's kind of like the classic Freire equation of looking at immediate reality and showing people where the superstructure is, and that's what that's what we do, and the disposition of this superstructure, and that's what we that's what we do well, to integrate into our consciousness, understanding that the United States is the invention of whiteness,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and a whiteness that is a deputization, not a privilege. Understanding that oppressed people live in this absolute contradiction as characterized by violence and repression. I think is instructive. Going back to the victory with the Amazon union. I'm a little nervous,
Mm.
right? I'm a little nervous when so-called progressive Democrats are there cutting the ribbon of sorts with with the union, right?
Well, they came late to the party.
And
Cortez,
so
Sanders, none of them supported them up until they won.
so now we have to see what ideological leadership, what political leadership is gonna maneuver this this force. So again, all to say just how crucial political education is, because without that political education, not only do we play along or we remain docile in the face of our repression, our resistance can also be co-opted and absorbed, and and can become just as alienating a force as any other aspect of our oppression.
Yeah, I was talking about that in terms of 501(c)(3)s
Mm-hmm.
because I tend to be leery, right? I'd rather have, like in my organization, the League of Revolutionists for New America, it's all member funded. We provide dues once a month. We don't have to deal with any outside support. We're not co-opted by any outside Democrats, none of that. And there are some good Democrats that are progressive, but that's always a danger. And I'm a woman of color. I've experienced racism. It took me a while to understand that. But at the same time, it's hard because there are some really good organizations like the Chicago Union of the Homeless that are 501(c)(3)s. I didn't know that. And so you just have to be careful. That line, I think it's just good. It's a good caution. But I hope Chris Smalls and his leadership are. I'm sure they recognize that they got hardly any support from politicians, and now that they won, now people are coming to them. And I see other organizations that had the reputation of being fighting unions, but I'm not seeing that fight anymore. And they're not with the people anymore. And it hurts me to the core because it's a mistake. They've gotten so big for the britches, they've forgotten to unite with the common people. And that's where you start to mess up big time. I think anyway, that's what I'm seeing in practice, at least here in Chicago. I'm not going to mention names, but it's a problem, So I think it's important to stay vigilant, and for sure. But I think you're right. I I, I think political study is crucial. This is from someone who doesn't have a lot of time to study, but it's key, right? You got to educate your workers. They have to understand that racism, white supremacy, that those are the tools of the ruling class to divide us in a capitalist system. But it takes a while. But Misael, what do you think? What do you think about the ideas that Tom was putting out there?
I think they're crucial, and the idea behind um listening to what was happening in the news with the unions and everything is crucial, because the more and more let's tie it back into critical race theory, the more and more white privilege is dissolved, the more likely that we will have a a nation with equality. Those are the goals. The goals are to maintain a humanity that can be sustainable and not contradictory towards the humanization of one population. You know, and it has to be the whole human population. It has to be humanized and treated with a respect for life. And I think that the more we engage in these dialogues and educate ourselves about it, the more likely we can talk about it. However, I do know that Donald Trump in 2020 tried to reverse the significance of what the civil rights was able to do with critical race theory. After civil rights, the critical race theory emerged, I think like 40 years ago, and he was trying to reverse all those bias training sessions with companies, and that was a problem and sparked a big controversy. And I think that's why the issue is really important now, because there is a force that is trying to take that away again, roll it back, you know, because these conversations are creating movements, are changing the way society is being displayed on TV and everything. And every now and then you hear a newscaster, you know, under white supremacy shit, so it's saying the N word or saying the S word. They're if it weren't for these things, those things would be allowed. And the I think the reason why it is important is because as a if minorities are being uneducated at a massive level, how are we going to respond to the injustice of being defamed, derogatorized, and just persecuted because of our skin color, because of our culture, our ethnicities? How are we going to fight back in an educational system that doesn't allow us to think and free our minds? That's the whole point of this, because they were doing this for far too long institutionally. They were doing it academically. They were doing it violently, and now we have these words to check the white supremacy. It's not so much about we want to hate Whitey or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whitey's fine if he's not educated. He's being educated to affirm and assume the position of of living as this privileged person, and without recognizing the privilege. And we know that this critical race theory is able to deconstruct the notion and the foundations of why they are living privileged. They may not be free, but they are privileged. You know, the
Yep.
matrix is fucking everybody up. But
Yep.
the thing about it is, to deal with this, we're able to see what this what I think is that the ultimate capitalist system, the elites, are using all of this stuff as to divide. They want to roll it back to continue dividing and oppressing people and get
Yep.
away with the wealth of all the countries and nations. And I think that it's important to have these things. And I would love to take a look at the pedagogy that you guys have, you know, just to freshen up on what's going on. Thank you
Hey,
for
maybe we could
these
do
things.
mini units on our channel stream. You know, I mean, I want to use it with my college students. And here's the contradiction, right? I am so busy with my union organizing, with my community organizing, that I haven't had the space, the mental space, the physical space, the energy to be able to do a deep dive into it and do it justice. But I'm hoping to the summer, or maybe this could be a space where we can do that regularly, so we all have room to grow. I call myself the dumbest Marxist in my organization because I haven't read a whole lot of political economy. I'm more like a practical revolutionary. That's just how it is. I'm working on it, but that's just how it is, man. But I did get a
Hey,
PhD in.
so you say you're the dumbest Marxist, but I'm your student, you know. So,
Oh my, just wait! Oh my
I, hey, all right.
goodness! Shit! Now I gotta step it up. No, they're definitely the fascist movement in this country is increasing at a rapid rate. It is fucking frightening. When you hear the governor of Georgia say that they should burn books, when what's the motherfucker's name in Florida, DeSantos? Who's that? I mean, when you see them attack academics and teachers and say that you can say gay or talk about gay parents in the freaking 2022, I think that this is real, and we're gonna have to look. As much as people may be leery of politics, we have to be very careful in these upcoming elections, because these motherfuckers are coming to play and they're coming to win. And so I think we're in very dangerous times, and these attacks on critical race theory are fascist. People ask me, "Oh, Jesus, why don't you come to Arizona? Why don't you come over here to teach?" Because I won't be able to. Because they don't allow you to teach ethnic studies in Arizona. What the fuck? I mean, where am I going to go besides here in Chicago, Illinois, where I can teach the books I want, engage my students who actually are the victims of systemic racism, and we can have a conversation and grow our intellect so we all, move forward. And I think this is a danger, man. And now instead we should really be elevating critical race theory and practically. So I'll give you an example, because I don't give a shit about trolls. I'll throw down with anybody. I'm like, bring it, motherfucker, I'll take you down. So in CPS, Chicago is a very heavily segregated city, just like San Francisco, New York, you name it, but Chicago is one of the worst. And we have a public school system that the ruling caste is trying to privatize. They've been inserting charter schools, and now their game is to cut the budgets of the poorest Black and brown neighborhoods. I'm talking $400,000, $300,000, which is murder of these schools. I call it racism. What do the opposition say? Oh no, CPS teachers are bad. Enrollment is down. Of course, enrollment is down. Which are the communities that got hit hardest by COVID? Black and brown. And to me, that's fucking racist. It was a racist failure of the health department. It was a failure of our leaders. I get really angry about this, because I'm like, you ignorant motherfucker. I just showed you the spreadsheet and the zip codes, and you still have the balls to tell me that this isn't racist? Fuck you. Yes, it is racist. Call it what it is. Sorry, Tongo. I've been getting into it with these people on Facebook who are fucking ignorant. I'm sure their kids are in the suburbs or going to private school. And then this is the part that's fucking worse. They say it's a question of enrollment, right? But the white schools on the north side got more money, $100,000 more. And they don't even fucking need the money, right? So to me, it's a question of dehumanization, and we're expendable. Our students, our kids are expendable, and we shouldn't be looking at metrics or enrollment. We should be giving services based on need. We have schools without counselors. We have schools without nurses. We have schools without libraries. What is up with that? And not just that, what they've done recently is that they've merged two grades together. I can't imagine. It's like they want these fucking CPS teachers to walk on water. It's bad enough they're dealing with kids who don't have counselors to talk about COVID, who have parents that have died in Black and brown communities. The death tolls have been devastating, right? And so to me, I'm like, it just baffles me. And that's not the worst part. They have about $6 billion, a lot of which they have not spent. They've used it to balance the budget. They used it for the police. They've used it for contractors. And you mean to tell me that you're going to cut the budget even though you have almost $2 billion in federal funds coming to the CPS school system? What is up with that? It doesn't add up, Oh, thank you, Money Beth. Sorry, I'm going off on a roll, but this is a passion that is near and dear to my heart, because my kids go to a public school, and they're very blessed to go to a very militant public school that fought the mayor to stay open, because the bourgeoisie wanted to turn it into a high school. Hell no. The community came together and they fought for 2 years. They got an attorney from a university and they won that fight. And that was National Teachers Academy. They just released a documentary, but that win is very few and far between, because at the same time, I believe it was in 2015, they closed down 4 high schools in the Kenwood Academy area on the south side. 4 high schools. That to me is racist. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Okay, I'm done ranting. Tango, I always say your poetry is healing, hermano. And I know it's hard to do that switch, but can you enlighten us with one of your poems, or more than one? I would love you forever, brother.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to, piggyback though real quick before I go into the group.
I love you, bro. I love him.
We see though how on the it's interesting. You said some schools with no libraries,
nurses, counselors.
Another beautiful sight, man. There's my friend works at a high school in which there's a library, but it's empty.
Oh my God.
There are no books in there. And so we see not just how they're trying to you know keep our kids completely unstimulated and warehoused, but also we see how they're trying, how it's really what we perceived as fringe white nationalism playing with itself on the edges, or under the under the boards, under the floorboards, is actually government efforts. Because really all that critical race theory is just what the is any diagnosis of racism,
Mm.
right? And so to create the next kind of like the next as many generations as they can pull off, the next few generations of white supremacist foot soldier is the objective, because they do want to just they want to save capitalism with a neo confederacy.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting too, these book bannings. They're not just like local KKK school districts. It's statewide. Even the Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor, her book is banned in 16 states.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So this is really like the white supremacist caliphate that they want to bring in another front line of contradiction that we should keep an eye on, is what's going on in Arkansas with Sarah Hucklebee's I think all but assured governor
Ugh.
win.
Mm,
And
terror, terror.
how it was described to me was, imagine if all Trump had to talk to was Arkansas.
Jesus
What
Christ.
would be coming out of his mouth? This is Hucklebee's invigoration of white supremacist forces there. So, but then all this begs the question: well, who's going to facilitate this political education, and where is it going to be facilitated? And I think we can't lose a grasp. Let's bring it to some Marxist Leninism, right? The need the need for the need for revolutionary organization, right, that exists outside of the processes of absorption that some of these kind of reformist operations continually fall into the gravity field of. But anyway, here comes the poem.
Hey Tongo, I gotta say this again. I love listening to you speak, your analysis. I love listening to your poetry. There's never a time where you're ever flawed. I mean, I know I'm a gushing fan. I listen to your shows a lot. You have a tremendous capacity for teaching and explaining things. And I think I told you this last time too. So don't ever think you're short of words, or I love it
Oh
when you
no, I'm with y'all in spirit and in passes. I spent a lot of years as an educator and youth worker in general, and actually, as much as I like to campaign for everyone to just commit yourselves to a revolutionary process and pass down that revolutionary process, as I was fortunate to get from my mother. It was actually working in these schools, in these nonprofits, that pushed me into a revolutionary praxis, just seeing how, you know, no matter how magical, or no matter how magical, or no matter how perfectly Freudian the day went, my efforts, our efforts, my efforts, and the students' efforts were still taken from us and turned against us. We were just as, you know, we're just as, teachers are just as alienated from their labor as any other, as any worker, as far as your efforts really being harnessed by a bourgeois agenda. And also thinking about, okay, you know, because, you know, man, teaching is an expression of love, you know, and so I have what really kind of broke me down. One of the last jobs I had was teaching in this juvenile hall, and it was a newly built juvenile hall in which the cells were basically these broom closets where the kids couldn't see outside. All they could see was the guard's desk, right? And if they weren't programming or weren't with some kind of some kind of gym or rec time, they were in these broom closets. And I would watch kids go from my classroom into the broom closet. So now you know, which so then it's a matter of it's a question of how much love can I actually express if I allow them to take you and put you in a broom closet. Or you look at, you know, you look at what our kids are dealing with, and they need an intervention, not just in their educational realities. They need an intervention on their behalf with the total, with the whole 24 hours, right? With the complete structural experience of you know, of oppressed people and oppressed youth. This is what, you know, this is what pushed me to get into organizing, you know, to get into organizing work.
How old were you, Tongo? Just out of curiosity, how old were you then?
I was 32. I was 32 when I clocked out for the last time. When I punched out for the last time. You know, I mean, of course, I'll still find myself teaching in places, or, you know, but I can't, and we can't humbly, we can't confuse, you know, there's nothing that could make your 9 to 5 noble enough to replace the need for you to join a revolutionary process.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, because we see, like, it's just rerun after rerun after rerun. We've had all these, and again, that's why you know, I mean, it's beautiful that finally there's some labor organizing in this on the front lines of this service economy, right? Because this is where we're working. We're working these bullshit jobs, serving people. Right, we're serving people, we're delivering their goods in this type of, you know, a very in a very feudal relationship. It's almost a de-evolution of a working class. So that's a beautiful, you know, there's a beautiful opportunity there, but we have to be scaffolding towards revolutionary movement. We have to be scaffolding towards the general strike, right? We have to be scaffolding towards, you know, a revolutionary epoch. I'll just put it like that.
No, I agree 100%.
Otherwise, we've seen you know, we've seen labor not corrupted, but we've seen labor almost de-revolutionized.
I mean, that's why the AFL-CIO was created, to control these wildcat strikes. And
right.
I think these unions are like, what the fuck are we going to do with the service workers? They're going to try and absorb it. And I say, no, Amazon should do its thing, stay separate, and fight for its people. You know,
that is an opportunity.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting too to see how this plays out in the deep South and other places where it's like a permanent mega depression that people have been living with for decades, and they keep people in such a desperate position that it's difficult to pry that, to pry the consciousness from the crumb,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But here comes the poem. So capitalists dropped 10 tons of barbed wire onto my Tuesday shift. We shot back at their chimpanzee pilot for the sport. The contractor has already smoked 3 cigars only 1 hour into my court appearance shift. My supervisor likes the smell, says it reminds him of when he ran the streets, and all I remember is we shot back. A gated puppet dances alone. Bars and Jigs says I am the happy one of Legion. Meanwhile, kids commit childhood behind his wooden plaster joints. Wire dodges under this silly puppet, a silly puppet dancing for white heaven. Like weapon is a jacket in precinct holds Friday. Hostage, we go through a fossil jar, then see a judge, the tunnel. At the end of the light, I sleep until I'm woke by dry cereal and surrender. This holding cell only needs a giant panhandler's palm to shake us coin men around. I'm breaking my fingers for my sister's bill collectors. Garage casket open, I mean all third world parallels kill openly. Breaking my lungs for my sister's rent. I'm the sculptor of construction dust. I miss cigarettes by mid-morning. I miss Hennessy by sundown. I miss murder by inches. $5 bills. Cherish my days outside, always behind. There's no concentration in this courtroom. Just a bunch of B-plus students living out their nightmares. How do I plead with a straight face? 2 blocks up is a reoccurring cliff, along with slavers' paraphernalia, along with the ordinary panhandler, along with ethnic parade history, along with the ethnic parade, along with 13th graders. But let's talk about the fact that 4 dead children later, I still don't have a problem beating you up in front of everybody. Let's talk about the fact that money is death. Down to my last $5 is what I call this shoe. 10 o'clock political education is what I call this dream. I got the job is what I call this blues. 2 days later is what I call a cliff. Capitalists eat until the world is blurry to them. These streets are made of saliva. And some people made of saliva too. They usually got on uniforms. While a crazy man spins round and round trying to make a record out of this mass production jungle, maybe I'll join them, count cash, and cry. These streets are made of saliva, and white sheets are worn by a building in which kids are supposed to learn how to read well. White sheets on the highway too. Another mirror needs their head on a pike. One down is just one down. But if you tell all this to the masses, your teacher might pipeline you. They told me I was jewelry. They told me this was jungle. Well, maybe not jungle, more like 50 machine guns planted in the ground. It's raining faces again in California. What does it say about heaven? What does it say about the people you kill? Waiting lines got so exhausted, a million minds dropped all these faces at once. If the fascists can read the lips of a giant talking in his sleep, we might as well make our demands in prison letters. Today was born the most important trigger finger in the world. Today I've begun counting down the pages between now and a pile of books by a tunnel. Chicago is going to walk out of Chicago one day. Babies that drag street signs like old toys. Today the most important letter left prison. Babies that laugh at flags like faces that have disappeared. Maybe I'll join them. But for now, these streets are made of saliva, and we raise half full glasses to the basements that meant nothing, and the working poor who live there. We get shot. We get white sheets on California, where the kitchen table like to talk as much as the walls, and romance on the porch consists of hard residing. I mean, this picture characters talk spit and know that they're hard to kill. The kitchen table knows this. The porch is almost convinced that one down is just one down. This town is coming to town. A circus watching itself. Half distracted, half suicidal, thrilled children dressed as cops, thrilled children preaching and policing and intaking and hiring and snatching your money. This town's coming to town with tough trademarks to follow. Today, I watch capitalism walk on water and people play dead so that they could be part of a miracle. Right on.
Hot damn, Tongo. That I love it. I love when you perform, and I love this performance in particular. So appropriate for Mayday. I loved it. So much richness in there. So look, this is just some of my Tongo collection. This is the one I'm teaching. Somebody's dead already, and my favorite poem is "Blood in My Eye." This one, I need to get through the whole thing. "Blood in the Fog," which is amazing. And then this is my latest purchase, "Heaven Is All Goodbyes." The thing about Tongo's poetry, I say it's healing. But I was at a lack for words last time he came to speak to my students. The thing about your poem is that it gives me animo. It gives my soul motivation. It's animus. And I couldn't think of it then, but that's what it does for me as a revolutionary. And students love his work. Students love your work. But that poem was so fucking dope. So I gotta ask a practical question because I'm sure people are wondering, how does he do it, man? So we, Misael and I and Kitty de la Sombra, who's not on, we gave ourselves a challenge to memorize a poem. We both failed except for Misael. A lot of times we go back and forth with our pieces, talking in poetic conversation. But how do you memorize your poems? What's your process like?
I just take it a couple lines at a time. I'm actually not like a fantastic memorizer. I just build it a couple lines at a time. I'll memorize a couple lines, say them over and over, add a couple more lines, say that new chunk over and over, and then just keep building it like that. But the trick is to keep working the poem in front of people, because once you get in front of a person, I mean, even if it's just one person, your mind is now also is saying the poem, but also keeping track of the person. So that's what kind of takes the practice, so that when the poem moves to a place where it's comfortable being facilitated while you're at the same time have your mind on other things, or have your mind on the social environment, then it's down, and it can become kind of a muscle memory to the point where you can say the poem and still have like a conversation going with yourself.
Wow, I like that strategy. We tried memorizing the first and last word, first and last word. I mean, everybody's got their tricks. For me, I got to say it over and over and over again. Misa, do you want to speak to your process? Would you maybe you could riff your poem, not riff. I guess that's not the right word. You can dialogue, speak your poem, perform your poem back in response to Tongo's poem.
Okay. It's a short piece. This song is to honor hip hop like a father, cause he saw me with a way to grow up stronger. When I wrote bars to beats to rap for the Big West, he said to never stress the need for their respect. I never suggested to youngsters to floss gold, but revealed that they're kings and queens to live so bold. I rap with the Harbor Street back in the 90s. Chicano raps bumped from my speaker so swiftly, but then revolutionaries came to make tracks like news junkies that were inspired by the hot facts. Big props to the rappers who came to rock the stage, representing 9/11 victims being brave. They say economies will replace your child's dreams with microchips and high-tech robotic machines. I remember hip-hop taught me to stack my chips, but never taught me to turn my back on the poor kids. They compare hip-hop players with the mega rich. It's not the same when you look at the politics. Hip-hop is the father. It raised me legit. A father figure that taught me about the showbiz.
Damn. It sounded better this time. Yo, and you just did it. You fucking did it. You just, God, I couldn't memorize. I should have spent more time on it, but I like this. And I love this idea of you stretch the lines, you stretch the words to who you're performing to. That to me is a thing of beauty. And I love that. And one of the things I hate is when poets do this. My life is like heaven up, and I'm shut the fuck up and fucking perform your poem to the audience. What the fuck is that? You know, and I'm not the best performer, but I love a stage. I won't lie. But holy moly, you're still there to speak your truth in your best way, in your process way to the audience, you know? But all right, Tongo, what do you think about Misael's poem?
Man, I thought it was beautiful, man. I want to hear some more, you know.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
I'm
Sure.
gonna send you a copy of my spoken word. Right? Maybe he can sign it and send it over.
Right
That
on.
would be a high honor. I'll read one of mine. I've never read it in front of my hero, but if it's okay with you, this is probably one of the few poems that I have memorized. But I'm gonna pull it up anyway because I don't have a whole lot of confidence. This is one of the first poems I wrote as an undergrad, and it came from a place of pain. Right? I couldn't write about it until I was 19. You know. So it's called Jesucristo Santificanos, and I'm not a performer, yo. So I can hear. Hey, have you heard me perform this one, Jesucristo Santificanos, already?
No.
You remember? Okay, no, you have, but you maybe have not. All right. I can hear the eternal mumbling of El Rosario in the other room, And I am alone in the living room with dirty blue walls. More alone than my first day of school, where I sat in the aisles looking at a gringa I didn't understand. Because she was looking at a woman I didn't understand. Because she was a gringa. And I'm a wetback child. And I hated her and her sick colored skin. I hated all those kids who didn't know what I was saying. I hated how they stood up, looked at the cloth of bright red and blue, and put their hands over their hearts, mumbled on and on, like my abuelita when she runs all the words together from El Rosario. The gringa's eyes were full of you, not like your eyes that are dying colors. And you didn't help me. And now you're looking at me with those blue eyes like all those dumb kids who didn't know when I said hello. You know everything and they didn't know nothing. No me mires con esos pinches ojos. Because you're looking at me like I'm no good. Because you know my dad's a mojado. And I can't mumble the way they do when they stand so tall to pray. So that's the only one that I'm close to memorizing. I fucked it up, but I'm close to memorizing it. But
I performed it well.
You think so? I fucked it up a couple times. We talk a lot too about, you get as many tools as you can, and I listened to you, Tongo. One piece of advice I took from you that I hope that other poets and writers and artists, you never pass up an opportunity to go on the mic. Never. I do the same thing as an activist. The other day I was tired as fuck. I mean, I had a migraine all day. It was like 8:30 at night, and one of the speakers dropped out of a Zoom panel, and they said, "Jesus, go ahead and speak." And I was like, "Fuck it, okay." And I wasn't performing poetry, but I could get up there and say my message. I don't know what the hell I said, but apparently I did really well. But my point is, you shouldn't miss these opportunities to perform. And likewise, we talk about, well, maybe we should take some acting classes if we want to be slam poets, or maybe we should take like I reference my speech sister in the union a lot, and I ask her for advice, and I'll perform pieces before her, or whenever I'm about to give a speech, I hit her up for advice. Just like this morning, I hit my comrade Misa and I said, "Hey, hermano, help me out because I got 2 minutes to speak in this huge rally, and could you give me some feedback?" And I performed it for him, and it helped. But I do think that the more you do it, the more you get better at it, but the more you understand how you do it. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean like in general, but like for me, I'm coming to understand that Spanglish and Spanish are very important to my work because it's part of who I am, and I don't plan these things politically. I know some poets, they have a set pattern, a way they want to set up their poems. I don't quite do that. I'm not there yet. I don't know if I even should be, but that's also how they memorize their pieces. They have the opening, the middle, and the end. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like an essay. But I do think it's a thing of beauty. And thank you for such high compliments from Bisael, and thank you for telling me I performed it well. I love you, bro, right here. But hey, this has been so fucking dope. It's 4:48, and we normally don't go past 4:45. I just want to thank you, Tongo, for coming on. I'm sure it wasn't easy to come on May Day, but I think it's important that we keep talking about these political issues and really call it what it is. We're trying to educate whoever will unite with us and listen to go towards a revolutionary process, man. So I really appreciate your work. I think your work does that. Your work does elevate revolution. I really do, and whatever it takes to get us there. But you wanna lead us off with one more piece, Tongo? Something maybe blood in my eye. My favorite.
Guided by teeth goes this country. There's a cow's mouth on the flag. A peculiar notepad holds street life dear, but the writer is not here. He's somewhere talking to tombstones about the good old days of splashing reborn water on his latest face. Or wondering how his old gun is doing in the afterlife, wondering how much death trap is in those gas station hours. It got to be $1 million a day on this concrete island, new engine in the moon, why it never goes down. 72 straight hours of night, at least according to everyone's posture around here. 8:30 in the morning is really 30 minutes of closing. The city shuts down for a sleepy rat race. Elevators shoe shuffle to the nearest heaven, laughing with rats the whole way up. There's scabs everywhere. In puddles of city and concentrated schools and TV lit warm rooms, the light reveals military fatigue when it hits just right on the ties that are wrapped around the necks of lazy white guys. Empire is too easy, baby. Chant at the walls or something if you feel like it. Best way for a target to move is shooting back, running for a tree line made of freeways. Wisdom says against a war machine on Tuesday, you stand no chance, but may we be the last poor men to play it safe. Cow's mouth on the flag. Politician raises his hand, and the crowd shows their teeth. An oligarch raises his hand. Little girls are not safe outside. You all high depressing comrades and function. 15 minutes of closing in the city has survived another black rebellion. We just paying dues by trash fires, not as anybody can set. And don't you love how deadly things whisper in the moment and people kill like feathers fall with everybody screaming inside? The writer knows that death is not a matter of dignity, rather humor. In a house that smells like roach races, nuclear percentages on torn stoves. I mean, here life never was, just lazy matches and manic inhumanity, hands rushing away from life towards stoves. What we doing here, surviving for no reason in particular, because nobody gonna far today. Nobody will go far tomorrow. Trust me, hell and heaven cannot count. Strange gardens with secondhand clothes play, and concrete wishes to be human so that it could be accountable. Where they find you drenched, and drains wish to be human so that they could be worthy arms for you to die in. Greet them all, grandson. Prepare for the day when every child is common. Don't say we ghosts didn't write you a poem. Don't say we didn't dig your life. Remember the shotgun by the coat rack that everybody in the house knows how to use. Remember the tightrope made of needles for walking in between driveways and man-made best friends. Go ahead, grandson. Tune this street again. Never mind, this country kills musicians first. Broken neck night, scarred neck life. If these walls could write lyrics, they say, what's your angle, angel eyes? 30, 50 rounds pass by on the street with no daughters. The street has no sons, just young prisoners of war in a racist city that means to make capital. And we know so much. We know it all. We were stood against walls. Who's on the third cross around here? Cow's mouth, salivating over the street. And that is the story of why we aim at teeth.
Damn, that's beautiful. I just love hearing you perform it over and over again. Tongo, think of this as your other home besides Harold Washington College. It's always a pleasure. And I hope you had an amazing Labor Day, International Labor Day. Just real quick, I wanted to uplift an event that's coming up. It's a conversation about China, where we're going to demystify some of these ideas that people have. If you want to go to learner.org, there's a couple of really beautiful events. There's an event coming up called Artificial Intelligence Pattern Recognition Technology. I'm actually digging that show, but this is going down. And I should know I'm the moderator, May 7th on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Central Time by some really phenomenal intellectuals from Detroit and other places that have been studying conditions in China. And we'll be talking about things like the pandemic, socialism, and how people are being taken care of as opposed to here. Well, Tango, man, hermano, you have made my day like you do not believe. We're going to close out with the tunes of Adam Gottlieb, Libera Radicalmente, but I just want to say how I appreciate you, hermano, so much, and thank you.
Much love, and solidarity.
This was amazing. I should stop broadcast. Whoops.